that's true. During an eruption, lava is being pumped out of the volcano. The lava is over 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,000 something degrees Celsius. It's liquid rock, but it's not burning a hole down into the ground. It's simply just like a river flowing. Fills in the low areas and rises up over the high areas. But because it's exposed to the upper air, it starts to cool from the edges. Eventually, though, the center will cool. Where's our Newfoundlanders? Okay, when a river freezes or a lake freezes, where does it start first?
Top. The edges.
From the edges, right? Eventually, the center will be hard, just like a lava flow. The edges start to cool, and then eventually that center cools and hardens. But now it's insulated, the lava underneath. So that's still molten, but it's crusted on the top. Eventually those eruptions end and all that liquid rock drains out. And what we're left with are these pipes or tubes. Now we're gonna walk down into the forest. The ceiling has collapsed, and that allows us a unique opportunity to walk through what was once molten rock and then back out and up the trail here. Now we're in a rainforest, so there's water. There's going to be water puddles on the ground. Just watch where you're. Anybody got sandals? Anybody got good shoes? Good. There are some low ceilings. Some of us tall guys are the bald-headed guys. Watch your head. 5'5" or above. And it's going to be dark. I take my time. It's about a half an hour. We'll just walk through. I stop and explain what we're looking at several times, so don't get too far ahead of me. Okay? You ready?
Yep, we're ready. You ready, Terry? Oh, tell them.
Maybe the next trip.
Yeah. I told him Rick didn't want him.
Oh, did you?
That's what I said. I say one with John there. With all his antics.
John's face.
Oh, next time we go somewhere it might be Vegas. Vegas.
Not everyone you can travel with.
No, not everybody's easy to
No. Really in the middle of the forest.
Birlikte aşağı iniyoruz. Lava tübü görmeye. Burası aynı zamanda yağmur ormanlarıymış.
I thought you were going to cook.
Yes.
Actually, it's cool. Oh, worth like a couple thousand people here.
Siz de benimle birlikte yürüyorsunuz. Kuş seslerini duyuyor musunuz? Demin buraya gelirken yağmur yağıyordu. Biraz şanslıyız. Yağmur yağsaydı bu çekimi yapamazdık.
It's actually a bad place to have a sign right next to a stair because you're walking along leading in.
What is it?
It's like herding cats sometimes. Now, the reason I stop here is just kind of gather everybody up. I want to point out to you the native endemic tree fern. This one right here looks prehistoric. In Hawaiian, we call it hapu'upulu. Hapu'upulu. You can see behind us one that's about 10 foot tall. They do get quite a bit taller than that, about 20 foot. But then after that, they lack enough structure to support that large weight. So just kind of keep in mind the size Because when we come out the other side, then we'll talk about that again. Very interesting. But very ancient order of plant, very simple. Yes.
Arada ne yapalım? Selfie falan kendimizle çekiyoruz. Kusura bakmayacaksınız.
You stand on one side. One back.
İnanılmaz güzel yerler.
Okay, stand in the middle of the bridge. Real good. Step down. It's wet. Just watch your step. I don't want anybody to slip. And then we'll kind of gather up right at the beginning of the tube.
Thank you.
And come back and
What? Come back and hunt us, but we're the ones that are yeah.
If you got photo gray lenses like I do, just got to give your eyes and glasses a minute or two to adjust.
Şu anda lava tünelinde ilerliyoruz.
So this lava tube is about 800 to 1,000 years old. The section that we're going through is only about 150 yards long, not real long at all. Lava tubes can drain and fill multiple times. So if you look up at the ceiling, at one time it did fill, the ceiling kind of melted and then was dripping down. So the stalactite looking formations, little icicles up there, in Hawaiian they call that nahuku. If you look it up in the dictionary, it says protuberance. Also, as we're walking down, the floor is fairly level, but that's not typical. Normally it's a jumble and tumble of rocks. Well, it's not a really good idea that tourists trip all over the place, so it's not good for business. They've kind of smoothed it out and they've added the lights. But if you look on the side of both sides of the tube, you'll see that the drip.
Yes.
Lava didn't completely fill the tube and it left a bathtub ring. And as we descend, it's perfectly level mark. See, there's the lava line right there.
Tavandan sular damlıyor. O yüzden kameraya damlarsa ve görüntü bozulursa kusura bakmayın. Umarım su damlamaz. Sizler de görebilirsiniz burayı.
In ancient Hawaii, nothing lived in the tubes except for small little crickets and spiders. The bats, the Hawaiian bats, lived actually in the trees. Hawaiians couldn't even use the tubes because they didn't have a light source. That little kukui nut, you can't go too far with that. We do have evidence. You felt the drips from the ceiling. The Hawaiians would bring a wooden bowl, umeki, gather the fresh water. Remember, there's no mosquitoes in Hawaii. So they could come back later on and there's water. We do know that Hawaiians sometimes used lava tubes for burials. But this was reserved for the royalty or the high warriors, the important warriors. Individual would be placed inside the tube and then it would be sealed up to a ready-made mausoleum. We're about 20-25 feet below the surface. After this was created, then the trees grew up above us and you can see the roots coming down from the ceiling. You can also see behind me the level of the lava that didn't completely fill the tube after it was created. This is part of a system that continues another 19 miles down to the ocean. But beyond the stairwell up ahead, the ceiling is getting lower and lower and it's starting to fall down. So, in the interest of safety, they decided we can't continue any further. We used to be able to walk another 1,000 feet or so. And the flooring beyond those stairs is natural. It's just a jumble of rocks. So climb the stairs and then wait for me at the top and we'll continue back up to the pathway up to the bus.
Yeah, so I'm not too. Like you gotta close the out there now.
Okay, lava tubes. They're not unique to Hawaii. Find them all over the world. Some are big, some are small, some are wet, some are dry. I'm told some of the largest in the world are in the Queensland district, Australia. Kind of give you an idea, here in Hawaii, I grew up in the 50s. Remember, that's air raid shelter time. So civil defense out here in Pahoa district surveyed a lava tube that was large enough to accommodate 2,000 people and all their supplies in case of emergency. So kind of pretty big. Just kind of give you an idea. It's on private property, so I've never been there, but that's what they tell us. This is the Hawaiian tree fern, Apu'upulu. The pulu, you refers to this red fuzz here. Pulu pulu, fuzzy. In ancient Hawaii, the royalty, the chiefs, and their families would take this fuzz and weave it into their lauhala mats. Remember the pandanus leaves? They cut it into strips and then wove it. They would take this and put it in the mats to kind of give it that, you know, hoity-toity look. They said in ancient Hawaii that they would cut this. It was baked, split open, and then the center scooped out. But they told us, from everything that I read, only in times of famine. Suggests that it probably wasn't really good tasting, but it would keep you alive. Now, the curious thing about the hapu'upulu, remember I told you it gets up about 20 feet tall, and then it falls down. But it doesn't die. You'll notice this one, you trace it back, and it goes way back there, about 10 or 12 feet. So they get up so high, and then they fall down. They don't die, they simply turn up and keep growing. Now, humans are an odd bunch, because we think of time in terms of lifespan. 100 years, that's a long time. My grandpa lived to 94. That was old. But for these trees, that's nothing. Let's think about, say, 5,000 years. This tree grew up and it fell down. Didn't die, it just turned up and kept going. Grew up again and it fell down again. And it turned up and grew up. So if you were to plot this tree over thousands of years, you would see that it's literally moving across the forest. So here it grows up, falls down, it's dead. Now a new one has to grow up. This one just keeps going. It's literally walking across the forest floor. Very, very unique.
Yeah.
Plants don't normally move. This one, and it's the same plant, it's just moving across the forest floor.
So in theory, there's only one.
That's right. American Civil War, 1860 to 1865. North was fighting South. They weren't growing cotton because they were busy fighting everybody. In this area, and this was just a kingdom, not related to America at all at that time, 1860. There were factories, 2 factories in this area. They harvested the fern, the hapu, for this red fuzz. It was used for stuffing for pillows and mattresses. Of course, as it dries out and it smashes down, it turns into a fine red dust. And you also destroy the plant. But that was our contribution to the American Civil War. The pulu pulu from the Hawaiian tree fern. Take a look at that.